Yo, guys, so this video is really coming from a realization that I had a few months ago. I wrote it down and now I'm shooting it, which is I've been thinking wrong all this time. And this is coming from my experience of being a coach and an educational coach, teaching kids and realizing what works in terms of learning best, learning efficiently. And the concept basically is coming from this idea of Bloom's taxonomy, where it's a higher order thinking skills. People usually think that to really do well on tests and to learn, basically, you have to be able to memorize things. But there's research that states that really memorization isn't the best way. Like people think that you memorize and then you'll understand and then you'll apply and then you'll keep moving up, synthesize, evaluate, etc. People think that you have to like you build the skills from down up, but what's been shown is that the best way to learn is to actually begin to from the top down. So you begin from the higher order thinking, which will be the conceptual level of thinking, which is connected to evaluation. So you're beginning to think at this higher level, and so through engaging in that higher level, you naturally descend and you naturally pick up the things. So, for example, if I'm super interested in something like anime, then I'm not gonna try to memorize like every detail about the characters or like the stories or whatever. I'm not gonna get too technical about things. I'm gonna get more so into the concept of anime and what is it that why is it that I'm relating to it. So you're beginning with why basically. It's not what you're thinking. It's not what you're learning. It's why you're learning. And when you have an answer to that, then everything else just falls into place because of the amount of energy and attention and focus that you're giving to the subject at hand. And so that's the framework that I've learned that helps with learning. And then as I engaged with this, I got to connect with some of Socrates' writing and philosophy. So he believed that there was this world, the world of form, he would call it. And so he would say that it was a real world, and this world is only a reflection of the world of form. And this is basically talking about Plato's cave. I think it was Plato or Socrates, either one, but it's called Plato's cave. And so he's discussing this concept, and and I was thinking about it, and I was like, oh shit, like what if this is a thing, right? What if this is the truth? And I think this really does correlate more with a lot of the spiritual teachings, which is we live in a mental world. All is the mind, and the mind is all. And so first things are first manifested in the mind, and then they become concrete. So it's the same thing. It's like if you begin to think conceptually more often, then you begin to create a new reality. You create better. You create better. You attract better. Um, so I'll put this. I'll compare this. So I'm thinking like because I'm thinking conceptually about the idea, and I'm constantly questioning like what does it mean to be what does it mean to be authentic, or what does it mean to be intuitive, or what does it mean to be myself, whatever these concepts that I have. Because I'm I'm allowing myself to sit with those questions. I'm contemplating, putting them in my head, and just letting the world guide me. Letting the universe guide me to the answer, or me just receive it. Because I'm doing that, I'm basically practicing this ability to think conceptually. What is the concept of authenticity? What is the concept of intuition, etc. And through that, I'm able to get a clear idea of what that means, and then I'm able to then create a reality thanks to the clarity that I have around this concept. So the more concretely you understand the concept, the more applicable it becomes. So it's not just that you're isolating and defining this one solid concept. What you're actually doing is you're extending the current. You're looking at your current understanding of concepts, the current concepts that you have, and you're building up. You're leveling them up through engaging in this other concept. So just the process of contemplation elevates your thinking, and it elevates your world. It redefines the way that you experience the world. So this is also I was during this time when I was thinking about this, when I was learning about this, I was really obsessed, not obsessed, but I was curious about genius. What does it mean to be a genius? Curious about people polymaths like Leonardo da Vinci. And what I learned is that the geniuses thought conceptually. They put an emphasis on the concept. They put an emphasis on the why. And so if you want to get to that genius level, then what you have to do is to think conceptually. And um, for example, like if I want to get better at soccer, I wouldn't put such an emphasis on training like right away. I would want to understand what is it about soccer? How can I relate to soccer? How does that reflect something in my life? So for example, recently it was like I was obsessed with coding, and I didn't begin to take a course on coding right away or anything. What I did was I questioned what it meant to code, and then I got into this idea of computation, and so I questioned what it meant to compute. And then I found that coding is just coding has existed, programming has existed before computers existed, right? It's like if we think about like just a language, linguists. So programming has existed before that, and so has computing. Like what does it mean to compute? And then also what is information? So like I was once I got into that, I made a connection. I was like, damn, I'm already a programmer. I'm already a coder, and so that just allowed me to pick things up much more easily, and it made the process of learning to code much more fun. And thanks to that, I'm not coding right now, but just thanks to that, like my mind has broken. I don't see coding as this ethereal world somewhere out there that I need to work to get to. It's a world that lives right inside of me, and that if I go anywhere to learn, is so that I can continue to expand and continue to be myself within those domains, within those areas. So so thinking conceptually is basically asking yourself, what is the concept what is that concept? How can I define it in a way that makes sense to me and that relates to my world experience? And then and taking in that concept as your own. And so that's it changes your life. It does change your life a lot. And so I hope that that's helpful for you. I'm gonna leave it here. I'll see you in the next video. Stay lucid. Peace.